Well, good morning. I'm Ruth, Whaley, and I'm here at RiskMinds 2012, and I'm here with Barry Schachter. Barry is a very well-known, notable quant risk manager, a serial CRO who's been at several very well-known hedge funds, as well as prior economics work for the regulators. And so, Barry, today you're down to talk about, at the conference, the Keynes comment. Is it better to approximately be right or precisely wrong?
That's
and how does that apply to the world of risk management and models in particular?
Thanks. So it's actually kind of funny because the quote is can be used as a comment on itself because it's precisely wrong. The quote, person, yeah, because apparently Keynes never said that. And I figured that given I was going to be on a panel talking about the impact of this quote for risk management, I might look up the quote and found out that in fact there was a contemporary of Keynes who is a logician in the UK named Carville Reid, and he has that quote in one of his major works.
Yeah. So you took the path of being precisely right
about the quote.
Right.
At any rate, yeah. And so the interesting thing is, if you think about the words, I mean, it sounds like the kind of challenge that risk managers have all the time, and but also it's a challenge with respect to the expectations that people have for risk managers all the time. And I wanted to kind of like redirect the thinking a little bit, so I turned up an earlier quote from Aristotle.
Much earlier.
Yeah, just a bit earlier, which was that an educated man, pardon the non-PC, an educated man should expect no more accuracy from a subject than the nature of it allows.
The nature of the subject.
Yeah, and so if you think about it, that is the dilemma in risk management, right? That we're all kind of trained quantitatively, and we deal with numbers all the time, but our subject actually defies our ability to quantify the things that are really of interest to us.
Yeah, I mean, you're dealing with uncertainty, so by nature it has to be an approximation.
Yeah.
Otherwise it would be certain.
Yeah, and I would actually take it a step beyond that and say that we're maybe comfortable thinking about uncertainty in the precise sense of probability distributions, but we get very uncomfortable when we face the kind of uncertainty that's people call Knightian uncertainty, where we can't actually describe the situation probabilistically. So, and maybe to a certain extent, that's the kind of uncertainty that Nassim Taleb talks about when he talks about black swans.
Right, where everything is possible, but you can't predict its likelihood.
Yeah, you can't predict it. You can't even, beyond that, you can't even envision it, which makes it really hard to measure.
Which makes it very, very hard, yeah. So in that context then, where do you see quantitative finance moving in the future? What are going to be the key areas to focus on?
I think it's and maybe it's trivial to say that it's a challenging time, but it's a time that's an opportunity for us to kind of rethink the foundation of what we're doing from the measurement part of risk management. And one of the things that I think is maybe easier to argue is that we're pretty good at generating numbers. We have many different ways of measuring risk, but we're, but we question how useful those numbers are we generate. Maybe we need to spend more time thinking about decision tools, decision relevant measurement, and be a little bit be willing to be a little bit more flexible in the models we have and focus more on how we can extract from those models things that are useful for us in particular situations. So, and build decision tools that help people kind of identify the situations for which models may be more relevant,
right.
and then to how to extract all of that, from all of that data, the pristine bits of information that are useful for them making risk decisions.
So in this,
I know that was kind of vague, but
no. It's very interesting because in this area, behavioral science can add a lot of value.
I think so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you could even, I guess, make some kind of very basic models or skeletal approaches outside from behavioral science and apply them to the decision making that you make from a model. So you might be able to combine the two.
I think there could be a lot of benefit from thinking along those lines for sure. One of the things that I think that some people are thinking more about is the idea that we're talking about people and people whose behavior adapts as the environment changes, and there are feedback mechanisms that exist between things that people observe in the market and what the decisions people make, and we haven't really effectively implemented that in both the way we understand risk models to work and our ability to use that kind of information to improve the quality of forecasting based upon risk models.
Right, very good point. Well, one last thought is that also once a decision is made, in today's world where you have so much dynamic change, which is probably going to continue, you may need to also keep adjusting your decision. So the notion of tacking around a certain range of actions becomes more relevant than saying I have a single path to follow and I'm going to then follow it to the next decision to the next decision path. You may actually make it more nimble as to how you move around any one decision point.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And the fact that the reliability of your past experience for your future decisions becomes lower.
Yes.
And you have to be able to think, well, that's not actually going to work this time, so I have to be willing to try something else.
That's something I think that we all learned through the financial crisis.
And
certainly thinking back to a longer time horizon than a more recent 10-year horizon is very, very instructive.
Yeah, absolutely. And to kind of like wrap it up in a circle, that kind of suggests that the standard way we think about risk modeling, you just grab a whole bunch of historical data and you kind of fit something to that data. Maybe we need to stop doing so much of that because we know how to fit data, but that's not the same thing as making the resulting model useful for what goes forward, especially if we believe that the world is not, just repeating itself. We're not talking about risk as if it's a coin, or even worse, a coin toss.
Right. Very good point. Well, thank you, Barry.
Oh, my pleasure.
Fascinating topic. I look forward to the discussion tomorrow.
Thanks
Thank you
very much.